Have you ever done the right thing for someone, only to wake up the next morning wondering if it would cost you everything? One exhausted single father never imagined that a simple act of kindness would change his life forever. He carried his powerful boss home after she had too much to drink at a company gala, expecting to quietly disappear before sunrise. But when the morning came, she didn't pretend nothing had happened. Instead, she remembered every detail, and what she decided next would leave the entire company speechless. Before we begin, if you believe kindness, honesty, and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue bringing heartfelt stories that inspire millions. Ethan Walker had learned long ago that life rarely rewarded good people immediately. At 36, he was raising his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, alone after losing his wife to a sudden illness 4 years earlier. Every morning began before sunrise. He packed lunches, braided Lily's hair after watching dozens of online tutorials, made pancakes that were never perfectly round, and somehow still reached the headquarters of Hawthorne Industries before 8 o'clock. He worked as the executive operations coordinator, a position that demanded impossible hours without the glamorous title or salary people imagined. His co-workers only saw a quiet man who never complained. They never saw him washing dishes at midnight while helping Lily finish school projects or skipping dinner so she could attend piano lessons. The company was led by Victoria Hawthorne, a brilliant 40-year-old CEO whose intelligence was admired as much as her emotional distance was feared. Employees respected her because they had to. She expected perfection, tolerated no excuses, and rarely smiled outside official photographs. Rumors floated through every department that she had sacrificed friendships, family, and even love to build the billion-dollar company she inherited after her father's retirement. Ethan barely spoke to her except during executive meetings where he quietly solved problems before anyone noticed they existed. When Hawthorne Industries celebrated its 20th anniversary with an elegant charity gala, Ethan attended only because the executive team required him to coordinate logistics. While wealthy investors laughed beneath crystal chandeliers, Ethan checked schedules, fixed technical issues, and answered frantic phone calls from vendors. Between tasks, he secretly smiled whenever Lily sent him pictures from home wearing the fancy dress she insisted on showing him before bedtime. Near midnight, the glamorous celebration began to crumble beneath polished appearances. Ethan noticed Victoria standing alone on a quiet balcony overlooking the city. Her confident posture had disappeared. She looked exhausted, emotionally drained, and surprisingly vulnerable. As more guests left, he realized she had quietly consumed far too much wine. She attempted to maintain her composure but stumbled while walking toward the elevator. Several executives noticed but deliberately looked away, unwilling to involve themselves. Ethan could have done the same. No one expected him to help. Instead, he walked over without drawing attention, gently steadying her before she lost her balance. He contacted her driver, only to discover the chauffeur had already been dismissed earlier that evening because Victoria insisted she would leave later with investors. Now the investors were gone, the ballroom was empty, and the CEO could barely remain standing. Ignoring what gossip might follow, Ethan carefully drove her home in her own luxury vehicle. Throughout the quiet journey, she remained mostly asleep, occasionally whispering fragments of memories about disappointing her father, working too much, and forgetting what happiness even felt like. Ethan never responded. Some conversations deserve privacy, even when spoken unconsciously. When they reached her elegant penthouse, Ethan found the emergency access code stored in the company security records, as executive assistants were authorized to use it during emergencies. He helped her safely inside without crossing any personal boundaries. He placed a blanket over her shoulders, left a bottle of water and aspirin on the kitchen counter, locked the door behind himself, and quietly disappeared into the night before anyone could misunderstand his intentions. He expected Monday morning to be ordinary. Instead, every heartbeat felt heavier as soon as he entered headquarters. Victoria was already waiting outside his office. Employees slowed their footsteps, pretending not to stare while secretly watching every movement. Ethan prepared himself for accusations, embarrassment, or perhaps termination. Powerful people often rewrote uncomfortable stories to protect their reputations. But Victoria surprised everyone. She invited Ethan into her office, closed the door, and for several silent moments simply looked out the window overlooking the city she had conquered but never truly enjoyed. When she finally turned around, Her expression carried something unfamiliar, not authority, but humility. She admitted she remembered everything. She remembered him protecting her dignity instead of taking photographs. She remembered him refusing to take advantage of her vulnerability. She remembered waking up safely in her own bed with nothing missing except the loneliness she had carried for years. She confessed that no one in her world had ever chosen kindness when they had something to gain. Ethan simply shrugged. To him, helping someone return home safely was never extraordinary. It was what decent people should do. Those words stayed with Victoria long after he left her office. Over the following weeks, subtle changes spread through the company. Employees noticed Victoria greeting receptionists by name. She began leaving the office before midnight. She introduced flexible schedules for single parents, expanded family medical benefits, and created scholarships for employees' children. Most assumed expensive consultants had recommended these changes. Only Ethan understood they had begun with one quiet act of compassion. Still, life refused to become magically easy. Lily was diagnosed with a medical condition requiring surgery that insurance only partially covered. Ethan quietly applied for additional shifts and considered selling the small house filled with memories of his late wife. He never mentioned his struggles at work. Pride prevented him from asking anyone for help. Victoria discovered the truth accidentally after seeing unpaid hospital paperwork fall from Ethan's folder during a meeting. He immediately apologized for the interruption, embarrassed beyond words. Instead of ignoring what she had seen, Victoria privately researched the situation herself. She remembered the men who had expected absolutely nothing after helping her. Now it was her turn. Without public announcements or dramatic speeches, Hawthorne Industries established a confidential employee emergency assistance program. Ethan became its first recipient, though he would never be publicly identified. Lily received the surgery she desperately needed. Months later, she returned to school healthy enough to run across the playground again. Watching his daughter laugh without pain became the greatest gift Ethan had ever received. One rainy Saturday, Victoria accepted an invitation she never imagined receiving. She visited Ethan's modest home for Lily's birthday party. There were handmade decorations instead of luxury flowers. Homemade cake instead of celebrity chefs. Neighbors instead of executives. For the first time in years, Victoria experienced something money had never purchased. Belonging. She watched Ethan patiently help children build cardboard castles, wipe spilled juice from tiny hands, and laugh without worrying about quarterly profit.